What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today is going to be a little bit different compared to my normal Tokyo Ghoul videos. I'm here to focus on a big segment of the chapter, but not the entirety of the chapter, because what I want to talk about, I actually wanted to make its own separate video, because I wanted to kind of explain it and get my thoughts out there, and also since so many of you appreciated last week's format with the pictures, I decided to continue that with this Tokyo Ghoul video. So anyways, the topic of discussion in this video is the reason why Touka delivered Shinohara the flowers, and also later on in this video, I want to talk about Suzuya's change of heart, how he may let Touka live and not kill her after all. So to begin, let's talk about the latest chapter, chapter 140 of Tokyo Ghoul. In the latest chapter, the chapter starts off with showcasing a flashback with Suzuya entering a hospital room where Shinohara is currently comatose. As we know, Shinohara, he's been in this type of state since the entirety of Part 2. Like, as soon as it began, thanks to the events of, Part 1 at the end, he has been in a coma. He hasn't woke up at all, and Suzuya, as we know, he really looks up to Shinohara. He looks at him like a father figure, and a long time ago, if you go back, Suzuya didn't really even care much about Shinohara. He had no care for him and all that, because Suzuya lost all sense of morality. He was someone that didn't really care about anyone. Like, he didn't have feelings. Like, when he looked at someone that died, he was like, oh, people die, it just, you move on. You don't, feel sad or anything because the people die every day. He just had no sense of morality at all. And over time, throughout the journey of Part 1, Shinohara, being a really great father figure to him, kind of enlightened him and let him see, the truth of the world. Let him see, like, how happy the world can be, how good it can be, and, to love things. And, Suzuya managed to gain back his morality thanks to Shinohara. But Shinohara had to go into this type of state for Suzuya to be able to even figure this out in the first place, which has led to the entirety of Part 2 of Tokyo Ghoul with his character development. So what we have here is basically showing, Suzuya meeting, Shinohara, just seeing how he is, checking up on him, and he looks on the table right next to him, and you can see these flowers. The flowers are there, and Suzuya's questioning, like, how'd these flowers get there? Like, he has no idea and all that, because he's really never seen this, then the flowers just pop up, and he knows he didn't deliver the flowers at all. It's obviously Touka, because we know earlier on in Tokyo Ghoul Re, Touka was in the hospital, and she was delivering flowers. And we never really got to know who she was delivering them to at all. We all assumed it might have been, Hide or something that Touka was delivering the flowers to. That's what many theorized for a long time. But now seeing, the latest chapter, chapter 140, we now know that Touka was actually delivering flowers to Shinohara, which brings up the big question. Why, of all people, would Touka deliver flowers to Shinohara? Because when you think about Shinohara's involvement in Touka's life, he has done a lot of damage to Touka's life. He actually is responsible for Touka's loss with, not being with her father anymore. And what happened to her in her childhood. It's thanks to Shinohara and also Mato, but Shinohara was a big part in this. And also Shinohara donned, Touka's father in the Arata armor. When he had the Kakuja armor on, he donned this. So we know for a fact that it seems like Shinohara has done more damage in evil things to Touka than actually anything good. So why would you deliver flowers to someone when obviously they have ruined your life? And there's many ways you could take this. There's many things you could theorize about why Touka would do this, but one of the big and obvious things about all of this that really just stand out, amongst all the theories that you could possibly make, maybe, Shinohara knew about Touka and there was like some form of hidden conversation we're unaware of and maybe helped Touka out to escape or something and not be captured. I mean, we don't know. We could speculate and theorize, but there's no concrete evidence. But one of the obvious things you can get from these panels, what we know, is that most likely it has to do with Touka's character development. She's been going through a major character arc since the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul. Not Part 2, but Tokyo Ghoul Part 1. We know a long time ago, if you backtrack to like the first major arc when the doves were first introduced, Touka was very angry. She was someone that was just a rage-filled teenager, taking her anger out on the doves, attacking people that honestly were just straight-up innocent and killing them like, Almond's friends, just cutting them up because she was just so angry, and she was jealous because she couldn't live a life like they could. She was always in hiding. Just so many things. She was just so angry, and she could not forgive anyone at all. And we could see that she is completely different now compared to what she was in the past. And most likely this is thanks to her character development, what she has been through since the start of Tokyo Ghoul Re Part 2, Part 2 right here. Basically, we have known that Touka has definitely changed. She has matured. She is no longer filled by rage, wanting to kill people, destroy people because of what they've done. It seems like she's more inclined to actually forgive others for what they have done to her than actually hold it against them. I mean, let's think about the entire situation with Akira and Touka. There was a big conversation a while back where Akira and Touka finally met, and it was a very critical moment for the series. It's something many of us have wanted to see for a very, very long time, because Mado, he also had a major part to play in Touka's loss with her family, like her father disappearing and all that. And so Touka had all rights because of her anger and all that. She wanted to take out Mado and killed him. But because of that cycle of hatred, in turn it caused it to where Akira lost her father, and she was in the exact same spot as Touka. And so with these two characters finally meeting for the first time, we finally get to see them face to face. It was something we've all been dying to see for so many years, because we wanted to see how these characters would interact with each other after knowing each other and what they have done. And we could see from the conversation that Touka basically, she wanted to say sorry, but also she was saying, like, I forgive Mado and all that, and I'm sorry for what I've done, and, basically you had to where Akira kind of forgive, Touka as well, and they both forgave each other for all the heinous things they've done. It was like a bridge was being built between the species of the ghouls and the humans. There was a bridge being built, and there was finally some form of coexistence. Even though they have hurt each other, they have done some heinous things to each other, they're finally coming to a mutual understanding, and they're no longer wanting to kill each other. It was a very iconic moment for the series, just to see Touka actually finally having a conversation with Akira, and Akira now forgiving Touka, but Touka also letting go as well. So, in this latest section from what we get here, it's implied that Touka has forgiven Shinohara for what he has done to her. And I feel like that's what the main message of this is. She wanted Shinohara to get better. She did not want the man to die and pass on. And she didn't want the man to suffer. She wanted the man to, at the very least, know she forgives him for everything he has done to her and her family. Which is a very amazing, amazing panel when you think about the message of that, just forgiveness in general that Touka is giving Shinohara. It sucks that Shinohara is not really aware of it because, he's unconscious, but it's still great to know that Touka seems to have finally let go of things that have tied her down for so long. So, the next thing to talk about, let's talk about Suzuya's change of heart. So, it's a no-brainer that we all know that Suzuya is vastly different compared to what he was when the series first introduced him as a character in Tokyo Ghoul. He was someone that had no sense of morality. He was someone that would kill any ghoul regardless of how nice they were. He would kill children, ghouls, anything. It didn't matter. He had no care at all for life or death. He just did not care. We also know he was someone that would even strike down his own friends, like for instance Kuro and Shiro. He would kill them if they became ghouls. He did not care. It's because he was a ghoul investigator and they were ghouls, and that's how the world worked, and that's what he was doing. He was just doing his job, and he was doing what he was always taught to do since a very early age. Big Madam, she was the one that taught Suzuya to do what he did. Remember, she was the one that kidnapped him at a young age, turned him into like a scrapper, fighting ghouls and stuff, being like, a part of a circus, entertaining people, and so he just lost all sense of morality because he killed so many people that he just became very warped, which led to, how his character just seems so psycho when he was introduced in part 1. And over time, Shinohara realized, like, look, he's a victim. He's someone that is not meant to be like this. You shouldn't treat him like he's like a rabid animal that is just evil and all that. He was forced to be like this because of his upbringing, and he just needs to be corrected. He needs to be put down the proper path. And so Shinohara offered his, hand to Suzuya and brought him down the proper path, and And now, thanks to Shinohara, is why Suzuya is like he is. Why he seems to be more mature. He doesn't just take lives just for the sake of taking lives. He thinks about what he's doing, and he also cares about the people behind him. He cares about his people part of S3. He cares about every individual one, and you can see that the way he carries himself. And he realizes his responsibility and what he needs to do. But on top of that, though, we need to dive deeper into the past to see the changes and see what the latest chapter parallels. So, a long time ago, when we got the backstory to Suzuya, we were introduced to Kuro and Shiro, we have it to where there was a scene to where cats were being killed. Now, we all probably recognize this, cats being killed, because it was actually mentioned very recently thanks to Mutsuki. As we know, Mutsuki was killing cats. We know for a fact Mutsuki was. And it's thanks to that messed up person that was doing this and teaching Mutsuki how to do this that just fueled this disgusting, despicable hobby that she had. And all of that was going on with the cats being cut up and stuff was placed on Suzuya. He was blamed for the cats' deaths. So in reality, going back to all the things and rumors around Suzuya, he actually never killed a cat. He was never one to kill a cat. He never killed animals. And it was always just the blame being placed on him to cover up what Mutsuki and the other one was doing because of just everything in the past. So Suzuya always took the blame. However, even then, it was easy to blame Suzuya because, like I said, he had no sense of morality. He didn't know, like, what it meant to, you know, die or live. He just didn't care. People die, people live. That's basically it. He just did not care. He had no emotions for it. So it was easy to blame him since he was already a warped individual. He was, you know, a scapegoat. Now, besides that, we do know, though, there was a scene where Kuro and Shiro were looking at him. He was crushing ants on the ground. You know when you see ants just crawling on the ground, they have their little line and all that, they're going back in their nest? Well, that was what was going on, and Suzuya was squishing ants. Which, in some ways, you know children sometimes do this. And what you saw there, in some ways, it's kind of disgusting because he's taking a life because they're just so much smaller and insignificant compared to him when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. And it had a message to show that he did not care for life. How he viewed life, he viewed them as if they're insects. That's what he looked at individuals. And in the latest chapter, chapter 140, we see a very similar panel. Actually, two panels that are very identical to what Suzuya was doing in the past when he was squishing ants. You see one panel where Kaneki and the group, they're going through the forest, and you see them from overhead. You just see how they're going through a line. It looks like they're ants. And then right near that, you also see a panel with ants going in a line. And it looks very, very similar to the panel with Suzuya when he was crushing ants. So it's very funny when you look at these two panels. They were in chapter 140, the latest chapter, when Suzuya was thinking about the flowers that Touka gave Shinohara. So it's obvious that most likely Suzuya realizes who Touka is. He realizes Touka was the one he met in the cafe, but also he realizes that he now knows what it means to take a life, and he doesn't necessarily want to do that. But we need to look a little bit deeper, though. We do know, for one thing in general, since I've already said, he has never killed a cat. Now, Touka has been symbolized to be a cat in the latest part of Tokyo Ghoul. We know for a fact because of Mutsuki. Mutsuki was the one that called Touka a cat. And it's very ironic when you think about it because Mutsuki was one that would kill cats. She would slaughter cats, cut them up and all that, put them in a jar, and it was fucked up. And so it's very funny that she would actually call Touka a cat. So it's showing what she would probably do to Touka. And since Suzuya has never killed a cat, in this case, what you can get, since Touka's been referenced to be one, he might not kill her. Because that's the symbolism around it. Since he's never killed a cat, he won't actually probably kill Touka, since she's being symbolized to be the cat. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. That most likely could be a thing here. Suzuya's change of heart and how he most likely will not kill Touka. And in fact, he might just turn over to Goat's side because he knows for a fact Furuta is someone that is not to be trusted at all. And we also know that the people behind Suzuya is people that would follow him, not follow Furuta. It's like Suzuya has his own forces, and those forces will follow him to the end, but not follow Furuta at all. So that's a big thing I wanted to point out. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about, this little development going on, the parallels between, the chapters, the old original chapters of Tokyo Ghoul to chapter 140 of Tokyo Ghoul Re? How do you feel about, the situation with Touka delivering flowers and showing that she has grown as a person and she's able to let go and not hold grudges anymore? Please be honest in the comments below. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and tell me if you like this format, because like I said, I'm still trying to get accustomed to it. I'm still practicing with it. I'm sorry if anything looks a little bit off. But anyways, though, I love you guys. Thank you so much for, watching the video, liking the video, for supporting me on Patreon. I do really appreciate it, so thank you so much. You all have a wonderful day or night, wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.